another episode of Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. I am Bean, and when you come into the stream, hit the thumbs up, please. Please hit that thumbs up. I want to go live in the middle of the week, but for some reason, man, when the weather changes from summer to fall and winter, every year I get a cold, like a chest cold or something like that. So I've been drinking a lot of tea, a lot of honey and lemon. But I just want to chop it up on some boxing because I go live, excuse me, every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the USA. So I'm here in Cincinnati, Ohio, USA, and I want to say shout outs to the city of Cincinnati and definitely big shout outs to the Zone 15 family, uh, Woodlawn, Lincoln Heights, and Lachlan. Um, all three of those communities right there in the Zone 15 area. We all family. Um, a lot of cousins, aunties, and uncles, and all that kind of stuff. Um, so we're gonna jump right into this boxing talk because got a few things to talk about. So yesterday it was the Pulev and Gassiev fight. It was going down yesterday. It ended up ending in the sixth round, but in the first round, as always, Pulev being age 44, one of the oldest active boxers of today, at the age of 44, he was doing his basic 1-2, 1-2, the left, right, every blue moon. He'll slip in a hook trying to get around the guard of Gassiev. He did this from rounds one all the way up to round six. You know, a left, right, every now and then he'll throw a three punch combination. And to be that being the age that he is, age 44, he looked pretty good, but you still know that at that age, it's only so much you can do. So going any level above where he went with Gassiev, it's not going to happen. And yesterday was a prime example. You know, um, he kept doing the same basic fundamentals round after round. He's racking up the points. He's winning, but all along, I think Gassiev is slowly starting to pick up because around round four, you saw Gassiev being a little more active, throwing some combinations inside, mid range. And I think he was just waiting for the opportunity to catch that opening as he did in round six. So, um, pretty much Kubrat Pulev doing his 1-2, his 1-2. And after he threw that 1-2 combination, Gassiev just stepped in like one or two steps to get in close to him and threw a mean left hook. And it was game over. All it took was that one clean punch, and Pulev couldn't beat the count. So, shout outs to um, I did, man. Thanks. Yeah, yeah, I did get a new camera. I appreciate you taking notice. Hit the thumbs up. I did get a new camera for sure. So I'm happy that you can see the clarity of it. Um, yeah, so there you have it. You know what I mean? Pulev, he done fought a couple of big names, and I think it's just about time for him to retire, maybe be a commentator, maybe be an assistant trainer for up and coming fighters. Sometimes you got to know when to hang up the gloves. There's always that certain point in time where you need to hang the gloves up. Because when you're 44, sometimes you just are 44. You know, now Pulev at the age of 44 would be nothing like, for instance, somebody like Usyk at the age of 44. He would still have a certain level of reactive. He would respond and be having those certain reflexes. But even then, a boxer like Usyk, he relies on mobility. He relies on the angles and the speed and all that. So after a while, at a certain age, even your legs won't be the same. I don't care how great you are. Eventually, your legs will start to, and your body will still start having changes. It's just a part of nature, man. You can't get around it. You could be still exceptional and you could still be good at what you do, but at some point in time, there's certain smallest little things to where you can't do what you used to do. Um, Shout outs to my pops. Um, he was a martial artist growing up. Well, initially he learned how to box because my grandfather was in the military, and when he came from the military, he hung a punching bag on a peach tree out in Lincoln Heights, Ohio. So then my dad and the neighborhood kids and my dad and his siblings, they learned how to punch on a power bag. But after a while, my dad said he got tired and kind of bored with boxing somewhat. So he started taking up martial arts down on Vine Street in Hartwell, from an Okinawa martial arts master who was actually from Okinawa. And that's where my dad learned his martial arts. And he went as far as to getting a brown belt in martial arts. Now, just like how Usyk uses his feet in boxing, my dad had to use his legs in martial arts. It was very limber, could get his leg up very, very high. But after the years and years and years of, just getting older, uh, certain issues with his leg, he can't do that flexible stuff anymore. At some point in time, that will that won't be there. You know what I mean? Well, anyways, let's talk about some other things going on in boxing. Um, so as far as next weekend on the 19th, we're going to have Anthony Joshua, the former unified champ, coming out of UK, versus Jake Paul. Um, AJ, it is what it is when it comes to him. Just the same with Jake Paul. It is what it is when it comes to him. A lot of people say Jake Paul is getting better, but based on the opposition, majority of the fighters were guys that were at the end of their career or retired MMA fighters. Tyrone Woodley, he even fought in the beginning. He fought ex NBA star, the short guy, Nate, but I'm trying to think of his name. So we're gonna find this out just so we can be a little accurate, real quick, because I try to do my best to give y'all the real research and stuff that I actually know. If it's something I don't know, I generally don't really want to speak on that. Just to let you know, just to keep this as as pure as I can. You know what I'm saying? All right. So Jake Paul is 12 wins, one loss, and no draws. His only loss was by Tommy Fury. He has 7 knockouts out of 12 wins. It was Nate Robinson. That's who it was. Nate Robinson, who he uh, who he knocked out um, as one of his debut fights. That was like his second fight. Um, so he did stop Tyrone Woodley in a rematch by knockout. He fought Anderson Silva, beat him by unanimous decision back in 2022. And then in 2023, he takes his first loss to Tyson Fury. I mean, Tommy Fury, sorry. Tommy Fury. Um, he fought Nate Diaz in 2023 and won by unanimous decision. "What's good, Mike Ware? What's going on?" And then he fought Andre August, Ryan Borland, who was 17-2 with no losses. Michael Perry, 0 wins, 1 loss, and no draws. And Jake Paul beat him by TKO. And then in 2024 of that same year, a fight in Michael Perry, he fought Iron Mike Tyson, who we all know Mike was close to the age of 60. And Mike's record of was, I believe, 50 wins, 5 losses, and no draws. But they have 6 losses on his box rec now. I guess applying that the Jake Paul loss actually went on his official record, to my knowledge, if I stand corrected. Um, and then he fought Julio Cesar Chavez in 2025. So that's pretty much to get you up to speed with uh Jake Paul's resume. So let's go to the resume of Anthony AJ Joshua. And he has a pretty, nice resume or whatever. So I'm not going to go over every single fight, but I am going to go over some of the most important moments of Anthony Joshua's his turbulent career. All right, so Anthony Joshua, 28 wins, 25 by which are knockouts, 4 losses, and no draws. Anthony Joshua is a heavyweight with an 89% KO ratio, one of the highest knockout ratios, probably just after, I want to say maybe Deontay Wilder's the highest knockout ratio in the heavyweight division. Although we could definitely argue that AJ has the better resume. Daniel Dubois probably has a pretty high knockout ratio as well. All right. So we got Anthony Joshua, birthplace from Watford, UK, United Kingdom. So let's go through some of the timeline of his fights. Let's go back to the very beginning of AJ as a pro. Now keep in mind, AJ became a professional at the age of 18. So he had a late start as well. A lot of people tend to forget that Anthony Joshua also had a late start in the sport of boxing. 2013, he fights Emmanuel Leo, who had 8 wins, no losses, and no draws. Anthony Joshua won by stoppage TKO. In the end of 2014, he fought Michael Sprott, 42, 22 losses, and no draws. Now, in that same year of 2014, Anthony Joshua fought one, two, three, four, five, six. He fought like 7 fights in that one year. So they were kind of speeding him up. Like I say, a late starter, age 18, kind of speeding him up in 2014, giving him like 7 matches in that one year. Now, in 2015, he fought someone who also fought Tyson Fury. Um, well, not Tyson Fury, but somebody who also fought Deontay Wilder. He fought Jason Gavin, who at the time was 26 wins, 19 losses, and 4 draws. Anthony Joshua knocked him out in 2015. 2 fights after that, in the same year of 2015, he fought Kevin Johnson, which I think might have been one of his first somewhat of a step up fight. Um, so he was 29 wins, 6 losses, and a draw. AJ TKO Kevin Johnson. And then 2015, 2 fights after, that's when he fought Dillian White, who was at 16 wins, no losses, and no draws at the time. Anthony Joshua knocked him out in the later rounds of that fight. The next year in 2016, he fights the Prince, Charles Martin. Charles Martin was 23 wins, no losses, and a draw. AJ won by an early knockout. Please hit the thumbs up, y'all. 4 people viewing. Everybody, please take a quick second and hit that thumbs up. Um, in the same year of 2016, he fought Dominic Brazil and pretty much dominated him up until the later rounds where he just battered him round after round, and the fight was stopped. He won by TKO over Dominic Brazil, who was 17 wins, no losses, no draws at the time. And then he fought Eric Molina, another opponent that Deontay Wilder fought. And Eric Molina was 25, 3-0. So let's just pause right there real quick. Now I know a lot of people use comparisons because I'm an AJ fan. Some people are Wilder fans. Some people are Tyson Fury fans. But let's speak about AJ and Wilder, right? They both fought Dominic Brazil. I think AJ took about 7 or 8 rounds, and then Wilder finished Dominic Brazil in just 1 round. So a lot of people use that as a as a talking point to an extent to say, well, hey, AJ took this long to stop Dominic Brazil, whereas um, Wilder stopped him in like 1 or 2 rounds. Um, well, they both also fought Eric Molina, right? Eric Molina buckled and staggered Wilder, and Wilder took about, I think, roughly 8 rounds, maybe 9 rounds to stop Eric Molina. AJ took Molina out in 3 or 4 rounds. So the same can be said with Eric Molina that AJ finished him better, whereas people will say Wilder finished Dominic Brazil better. You know what I'm saying? So it's just styles make fights. Eric Molina had a style that um, Wilder couldn't just finish him like that, whereas AJ was able just to pretty much walk right through Eric Molina. Now, the true step up fight for AJ was him fighting veteran Vladimir Klitschko in 2017. 64 wins, 4 losses, and no draws. This was AJ's big moment. And as we know, um, and this is something important to point out too. Yes, eventually AJ did get dropped and almost stopped, but that was more or less the fact that AJ had emptied his clip. When I say empty his clip, he was in there. He came out on fire. He came out there trying to knock out Vlad, trying to stop Vlad Klitschko. So in doing so, he was throwing a lot of power punches. And for a guy that at that size that AJ is, weighs roughly around 250, maybe 255. He's a big, tall guy, like 6'6", and he's throwing all these power shots, trying to stop Vlad Klitschko. In doing so, that's using a whole lot of stamina and a lot of your gas tank. You know what I'm saying? So in return, in doing so, trying to knock out Vlad, although he did knock him down once or twice, by that time he had got tired himself, and Vlad returned fire. Now, to credit Vlad, that shows he has a good chin as well because he was able to take AJ's power, and although AJ dropped him once or twice early in the fight, he got back to his feet, and then he was able to drop AJ. Eventually, AJ ended up stopping Vlad Klitschko, and that was a big moment for his career. Uh, that same year, AJ fought Carlos Takam, which was a tough fight. Now remember, AJ struggles with, I mean, I would say in just about majority of the cases of his fights, Obviously, Vlad was tall as well, but something about the shorter fighters AJ struggles with more so than a person who's the same height as AJ. Guys that he looks at eye to eye with, he does a lot better, and I think it's more of a leverage situation. When you got like a Carlos Takam, few inches shorter than you, or like a Andy Ruiz and Povetkin, the shorter guys that he has to punch downward against. It seems like AJ starts to struggle with that. Um, and that comes with experience, that comes with time. Like I said, he started late. He pretty much was with Rob McCracken majority of his career. I'm not sure if they did drills on, or did he do a lot of boxing with shorter opponents in training camps, but that's something that he definitely needed to learn, is how to fight these shorter opponents, because eventually would come the time he'd fight guys like Carlos Takam that kind of gave him issues. And right after he fought Takam, he fought Joseph Parker, um, who at the time was 24-0-0. Um, AJ won by a UD. A lot of people have a lot to say about that fight. It was a boring fight. The referee kind of intervened and kind of stopped both guys from being able to do what they needed to do. Um, so that definitely was probably, out of all of AJ's fights, that probably was the most lackluster fight performance, with AJ versus Joseph Parker. 2018, Povetkin, a rough, sturdy opponent. Yeah, he's a little older, but he was definitely seasoned, and had a good chin, still had good chin resistance. Only had one loss at the time. He fought Anthony Joshua, 34 wins and no draws. Alexander Povetkin was a solid win, because we must take into account, years after the fact, the same Povetkin fought Michael Hunter, took him to a draw, and Michael Hunter was a lot faster. He was, more or less like I believe, a cruiserweight who came up to heavyweight, and he gave Michael Hunter a tough fight. Then after that, he fought a prime Dillian White, and Alexander Povetkin knocked Dillian White out cold. That just shows how dangerous Povetkin is, and AJ took a lot of those uppercuts. Um, and somehow he weathered the storm. He weathered the storm. You know what I mean? He was hurt a few times. I think his nose might have got broken, but he stuck in there and eventually stopped Alexander Povetkin in the year of 2018. Now things got real for AJ, right? 2019, AJ's supposed to fight Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Big Baby Miller failed um, drug test, and I want to say he had either different substances or he failed multiple drug tests. I can't remember the specifics, but I know it was definitely PED related. So the build up for the AJ versus Big Baby Miller was a good build up. It was a fight I would have definitely had loved to see, and I felt like AJ would have probably won that fight. But hey, the way things played out ended up being a lot different, right? So Miller's out the picture. Then AJ and them were looking for an opponent to fill in. They offered Dillian White a rematch for whatever reasons there were. Dillian White declined a rematch, so they offered Luis Ortiz a shot at AJ. Luis Ortiz turned down the fight. Later came back and apologized for turning down the fight. Well, in the mix of all this, of looking for somebody to fight, and I want to make sure y'all understand what I'm saying. They were looking for an opponent for AJ, and Andy Ruiz was not an opponent they were looking for at all. They were not even looking for Andy Ruiz. AJ didn't even know who Andy Ruiz really was. Andrew Ruiz himself reached out to Eddie Hearn on social media and begged for a fight. He begged for an opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua. And after doing so, he was granted the chance to fight AJ, who was a unified champ. Well, 2019, I believe it was Madison Square Gardens, AJ's debut over here in America. Um, Initially, me just seeing what AJ had done, I'm like, he's gonna walk through, he's gonna whoop this Andy Ruiz guy because I didn't really know who Andy Ruiz was at the time. I didn't know this was Andy Ruiz who had already fought Joseph Parker in a fight that he arguably won for the WBO belt at the time. I didn't know that Andy Ruiz had history with Evander Holyfield and had did multiple sparring sessions with Holyfield. And Holyfield said Andy Ruiz is definitely going to be a problem for the heavyweight division. So my cousin kind of called my cousin B Bub. Shout outs to my cousin B Bub, who got me back into me back interested in liking boxing. He said, "Don't be surprised if Andy Ruiz beats Anthony Joshua." And I kind of had a shocked look on my face, like, cuz I think cuz I think you tripping, man. You know what I mean? He's like, don't be surprised if Andy Ruiz beats Anthony Joshua. He's kind of like a heavyweight Canelo. He's gonna keep putting pressure on him and coming at him. So me not knowing Andy Ruiz's background or nothing like that, I'm like, nah, AJ's gonna beat this guy. Well, as my cousin said prior to the fight, um, it was the upset. Andy Ruiz TKOs and stops Anthony Joshua, dropping him 4 times. Um, and what it all stemmed from was a great punch that he caught AJ around that temple area or just around his ear, and his equilibrium was off, and he never recovered. So he went down another 3 times and was stopped. They rematched, immediate rematch in 2019. AJ won his belts back by a unanimous decision. And then in 2020, he fights Kubrat Pulev, who just fought Gassiev and was knocked out. And then AJ fights in 2021. He fights Alexander Usyk, who was somewhat new to the heavyweight division. Usyk had only fought Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora. The Derek Chisora fight, um, I guess people looked at that fight like Chisora gave Usyk a rough battle. So a lot of people didn't think that Usyk, and I didn't think that Usyk would have enough to fight a full size heavyweight like AJ, who was taller, had the size, the reach. But none of that mattered. That just shows how good the pedigree and the style of Usyk is. That he's actually an elite boxer. Um, he ran the cruiserweight division. His last cruiserweight fight with Tony Bellew, he um, he was given a rough time by Tony Bellew, but eventually he just stuck in there and kept his poise. Um, and and he ended up knocking out Tony Bellew. So 2021, he fights AJ and wins by unanimous decision over Joshua. So Joshua takes a L there. Immediate rematch the next year, 2022. AJ does a little better in the rematch, but he still loses by a split decision in the rematch. Um, Usyk is just really the real deal. In 2023, AJ fights Jermaine Franklin. And as we know, Jermaine Franklin will be fighting, I believe, in January next month. He'll be fighting Moses Ntuma, the up and coming UK phenom. So AJ in 2023 won by unanimous decision over Jermaine Franklin Jr. Um, then he fights that same year Robert Hellenius, who ended up popping dirty after the fight. They had found some findings in his samples, and I really didn't hear a whole lot more about Robert Hellenius since then. Of course, Wilder also fought Hellenius and finished him in a quicker fashion than AJ did. Um, then he fought Otto Wallen, the Southpaw. But like I said, Southpaw Wallen is nothing like the level of Usyk. Usyk's just a whole different level. Um, so he stops Wallen, and then he fights Francis Ngannou. AJ knocks him out fairly easily, without really breaking a sweat, dropping him a total of 3 times. On the third time, he knocks out Ngannou. And then in 2024, he fights his last fight, which was Daniel Dubois. And Daniel Dubois, age 27 at the time, um, had been on a high as far as winning a winning streak and stopping his guys. He steps in there with no fear of AJ, and he lands the first meaningful punch between the two guys, and he eventually stops Anthony Joshua after dropping him a total of, I believe, 4 times. Similar to Ruiz, caught him with a punch that he didn't recover from. And now AJ's in there just fighting off an instinct and was eventually knocked out by Daniel Dubois. Well, now, from 2024, a year later, this year in 2025, next weekend, he will fight Jake Paul. 12 wins, one loss, and no draws. So how do y'all see that playing out? Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua in Miami next weekend. If it's nothing in there, no clauses or nothing, underhanded or whatever, AJ's going to finish him in 2 rounds maximum. If they let him be the spiteful AJ that he was against Ngannou, that level of an AJ or the AJ that fought Otto Wallen, yeah, he's going to just pretty much. It's gonna be bad for Jake Paul. It's gonna be slow for sure. It's gonna be slow. And please hit that thumbs up. Yeah, the Mac. I really appreciate that, man. Appreciate it for sure. Yeah, Michael Ware, glad did almost come back, man. But like I said, it was definitely uh the fact was that AJ, he had exerted all his energy, man, trying to get Vlad out of there. He wasn't pacing himself. He was just trying to get a knockout. And that's the thing about it, man. You throw all these punches with the intention of knocking out your opponent, and you don't get him out of there. Well, once you get fatigued and tired, the tables can turn. The tide can definitely turn. They can definitely turn for sure. Um, so I saw a little bit of the back and forth with Richardson, Hitchens, and Keyshawn Davis going back and forth. I love the fight hype with some of these boxers. They cross paths sometimes at fighting events. And this might have been them crossing paths, if I'm not mistaken, when they were when it was for like the press conference for Tio versus Tefime Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson, which will be happening, I believe, the end of January, like January 31st, I believe. What y'all think about Tefime versus Shakur Stevenson? Because I was looking at the interview. They both did an interview on Breakfast Club. Shakur did his interview, and so did Tefime Lopez. Um, and lately, they're both buzzing right now, of course. So it's gonna be multiple people trying to do interviews with Tefime and Shakur Stevenson. I love the style matchup. Um, they both are athletic guys. Um, Now, when it comes to Shakur, the consensus is that he has um, elite level defense, and that his pedigree level, when it comes to defense, he's like a defensive master. Some people say he has good defense, but it's not to the level that people think it is. And that's kind of been the argument from Tefime Lopez in many of his interviews. He's basically saying that, yeah, he's a good fighter, but Shakur's defense is not immaculate like y'all think it is. And he claims he sees uh, loopholes in the defense of Shakur Stevenson. And Tefime Lopez says he will exploit um, the loopholes that he sees in the defense of Shakur Stevenson. So I want to know what y'all opinion is. Are there certain loopholes that y'all see and certain things you see with Shakur that Tafime could capitalize on? I know Shakur said, well, hey, Tafime says this and that, but once it gets in the ring with me, it's going to be a whole different ball game. That once he gets in there with me, it's going to be so much different than him looking at me on film or fighting another opponent when he's actually in the ring with me. Um, I do see a few things in Shakur Stevenson, but I think just about every fighter has some type of flaw, even if it's the smallest minor thing. Sometimes people pick up on that. Um, I know that when he fought Zepeda, Shakur would go to me. He was going up against the ropes too much. And sometimes you see that with fighters where they're going to the back on the ropes too much and they get vulnerable, and now there's a higher probability, if they're fighting the right type of guy who has the type of power that can catch them just right, they can end the night. That's what happened with Frank Martin when he fought Tank Davis. He kept going back up against the ropes too much, although he had a lot of good moments in the fight when he was center ring and using his athleticism to move around. He would get up against the ropes, and he did it one too many times, and as a consequence, he was knocked out by Tank Davis. Now with Zapata, we saw the moment that he caught Shakur against the ropes, and it kind of shook Shakur. Now Shakur says himself that he really wasn't hurt like what people thought he was, but that's definitely a situation where if he fights the right opponent, um, that hits a certain way, who has that level of power or who is very explosive, maybe even like a Lamont Roach. If he gets vulnerable against the ropes like that, Shakur could get hurt or knocked out. Now, would Tefime Lopez be the one to? Will he be the one to unlock that box? You know what I'm saying? Will he be able to have that secret key for Shakur Stevenson? Some people, it's a lot of people that feels that Tefime Lopez will beat Shakur Stevenson. I feel like he definitely has a style to beat Shakur Stevenson. Um, but I mean, it's all about the mental side too. Um, like somebody else had talked to me about. A big factor is, will Tefime Lopez be his own worst enemy? If Tefime is too much in his own head, that can be a bad situation for him. Tefime must be all the way locked in, focused, because he keeps saying that he knows what he needs to do to defeat Shakur Stevenson. So hey, saying you know what to do, but also getting in there to perform it and let it play out, that's two different things. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see what goes on, you know. I'm looking forward to it, to the fight. A lot of people feel like it could be a boring fight, but me being a boxing purist, I respect the sport of boxing to the level of I like I like different styles of boxing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to be a slugger. Everybody's not going to do like a Lamont Roach and stand in the pocket like he did with Pitbull in spurts, or like he did with Tank Davis. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have some fighters who are more defensive minded that think defensive first. So they're going to move around. My only issue is, don't be so defensive that you lack offense, or that you're not letting your hands go, or you're having the lowest output of punches because you're being too defensive minded. I like a defensive fighter who's like 50-50, 60-40. You know, 40% defense, 60% offense, or 50% offense, 50% defense. You're kind of like a fine line of both. You have a silver lining right there, but you don't want to be so defensive that you're not letting your hands go. And that's the only problem I have with certain fighters that say they're defensive masters. They overcompensate being defensive. But then, to the argument of Shakur, of what he said in the interview, is that if I can get in there and make a fight look easy and not take a lot of punishment, a lot of times people perceive that as a boring fight. But if I'm in there and my opponent catches me a couple flush times, then they're like, ooh, 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 this is a fight. But if I'm slipping and maneuvering or whatever, and showing my defensive levels, my head movement, my foot movement, my pivots, and all that kind of stuff, my feints, people might say I'm boring. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of all, at the end of the day, what are your expectations when you watch boxing? But when I watch boxing, I look at it like, hey, I know every fight is not going to be a knockout fight. Sometimes certain fights are going to go to the scorecards. That's the sport of boxing. But hey, I can live with it. You know what I mean? Like I said, as long as it's not to the level of a person being so um, defensive that you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not letting your hands go enough. You know what I'm saying? That would be my only issue, for real, for real. Um, let's see. Oh, but speaking of Anthony Joshua, I'm seeing that it's pretty much very serious talks for 2026. You know, Anthony Joshua getting past Jake Paul, which he should next weekend, sets him up for his fight next year against Tyson Fury. From what I understood a while back, is that AJ had already verbally agreed to fight Tyson Fury, that Turkey Alashake and different ones. were just awaiting for the response of Fury to agree. Please hit the thumbs up. They wanted Fury to agree to fighting Anthony Joshua. I personally always felt like Anthony Joshua is game to fight any of these guys. Just because if you look at his track record and the level of opposition of people he's already fought, and even if you go back to some of the interviews, you see people like Team Music and them saying that it was a pleasure doing business with Anthony Joshua. He never played no games with us. He never made negotiations difficult. He was never trying to back out last minute. All this kind of antics. Because you got to understand, call a spade, right? Well, when we saw Tyson Fury, he's like the opposite. When he was supposed to fight Wilder in the third fight, what did he do? He started talking about Wilder talked about the gypsies, which is my culture. I have no respect for Wilder, this, that, and the other. So I'm going to choose to not fight Wilder in the third fight. Wilder then went the legal route and drug Tyson Fury into arbitration because Fury then changed his tone and he went on ahead and fought the third fight with Wilder. Now think about it. All that Tyson did saying that he wasn't going to fight Wilder in the third fight, it took months of just messing around and dragging out this process. All that he did just to end up fighting Wilder anyway. So place the blame on Tyson Fury. Place the blame on where it belongs. I don't agree with everything Wilder's done, but in that situation, blame Tyson Fury. He's the one that said he wasn't going to fight Wilder and end up fighting Wilder anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a waste of time for boxing, and it stopped a lot of other things from being able to happen because here he is clogging up that situation, and then you got Anthony Joshua all along on the sidelines waiting for the opportunity to fight one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? And then once again, Tyson Fury did it again. When it came to Usyk, you remember? Usyk took the low ball offer to call the bluff of Tyson Fury. And then it went from that to all these other roadblocks. And then Alexander Krusik said, "Oh, now Tyson Fury wants to do this, and now Tyson Fury wants to act this way." And it just started to get very frustrating for Team Usyk, and that's when Team Usyk pulled out because they were just tired of the mind games and the shenanigans of Tyson Fury. And then eventually Tyson Fury ends up fighting Usyk and takes his first loss. So I felt like all along he actually knew deep down in his mind, in the back of his mind, he would never admit it. But Tyson Fury always knew that Usyk had the tools and the skills and would probably be the one to hand him his first loss. That's why he was apprehensive, if you ask me, in my opinion. I felt like Tyson Fury was always apprehensive of Usyk. He can call him a rabbit. He can call him a middleweight. He can call him all the things he called him. But at the end of the day, we all know Usyk is the real deal, and he showed that. When he almost knocked out Fury in the first fight, he dropped him, but the ropes held up Tyson Fury in the first fight, and then in the rematch, in my opinion, uh, Usyk won that fight even more decisively in the second fight. So it is what it is. Tyson Fury has had a past history, and people say he's bipolar, this, that, and the other, which may be true, and maybe that attributes to a lot of his antics. But at the end of the day, stop blaming other people for what Tyson Fury pulling different stunts and different antics. Um, so let me see what else we got going on in boxing. Well, I brought up Jermaine Franklin, so we'll talk about him versus Moses and Tuma. Um, I like that style. I like that style matchup. And it's gonna be interesting to see because, like we say, it's like We've never seen Jermaine Franklin stopped. He hasn't been stopped. He's not been even, I don't think he's even been dropped as a pro. So if Moses and Tuma can drop him, let alone knock him out, that's a big accomplishment and a bragging right that only he could claim. Should he be able to make it happen? Uh, Jermaine Franklin has not been knocked down. He's fought Dillian White, who landed some very flush punches on him. AJ, he landed some very flush punches on him. Now, one thing I do see about Jermaine Franklin is that he kind of has that, to an extent, kind of like that Andy Ruiz style to him, because he shows he has a good chin. Um, he's kind of that cagey fighter, cagey, that cagey style. So I definitely see him being somewhat of a target to where Moses and Tuma may kind of struggle to land flush as much as he would like to. But who knows? Moses might be the one to unlock that box. He might be able to catch Jermaine Franklin. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Maybe he can catch him to the body. Because a lot of times when guys have really good chins or they have a tested chin, then there's a potential, not in all cases, but in some cases, there's a potential case that you can hurt them to the body. Look at Zilly Zhang, known for a good chin, but he was stopped by a body shot by Ajit Kabiel. Um, so maybe there'll be opportunity for um, Moses and Tuma to go to the body of Jermaine Franklin and really cause him to slow down, or maybe a stoppage to the body. Who knows? When you can't finish your guy to the chin, sometimes you have to think, let me go to the body. You know what I'm saying? And speaking on them terms, I also feel like that would be a huge part of the game plan and blueprint when Anthony Joshua fights Tyson Fury next year. I feel like AJ will need to go to the body of Tyson Fury. We know Tyson Fury has a good chin. We know Tyson Fury has great recovery. We've seen Deontay Wilder hitting with everything he has, and Tyson Fury get back up. You know what I'm saying? Like the Undertaker or something. You know what I mean? So I feel like Anthony Joshua, much like Moses Atuma, will need to implement a body a body plan to go to Tyson Fury, and I feel like Moses Atuma will have to implement a body plan to go to Jermaine Franklin. You know, kind of mix it up, upstairs, downstairs, but definitely zone in on the body, those liver shots, those rib shots. You know what I'm saying? Try to break your guy down. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to slow him down. You know what I'm saying? That's what you have to do. Um, Now, speaking of Shakur Stevenson in that interview, I also took notice that he mentioned that he felt like Lamont Roach had beat Pitbull Cruz. Um, I can't agree with that personally. I would have to disagree with Shakur Stevenson. I feel like um, Pitbull Cruz had already clinched at least the first 5 rounds already. So all he needed was to win 2 more rounds, to clinch 2 more rounds. Because to me, he won rounds 1 through 5, Pitbull Cruz. Um, and like round 6 and 7, and the rounds that went all the way up to round 12, Lamont won some rounds, but some of the rounds were like swing rounds. Some of the rounds were kind of somewhat of an even round. So he never, Lamont never decisively won 7 rounds straight from round 6 throughout the fight. It's not like Lamont Roach won every single round decisively. There were a lot of back and forth rounds, and a few rounds he did win, but he didn't win them all when it came from round six throughout round 12. And I felt like that's why he should be, like Cam J said, and a few other people, he should be happy with the draw because, man, you started off late, man. You started off late. You didn't start to turn up until later in the fight, man. And you let a lot of those early rounds, you know, go to Pitbull Cruz. I think if you do an immediate rematch with him, you need to start to get started early. Round one, you need to get started early. You can't wait to mid rounds to want to start turning up and showing a lot of action because by that time, you've done already gave your opponent a lot of rounds in their bank. You know what I'm saying? He has to know that. And I'm pretty sure his trainers, hopefully, after they review the fight over and after he watches it, he'll understand that he gave up a lot of early rounds unnecessarily, you know? Um, and also, man, just remember, y'all, I have merch online. So I got these hats, I got these shirts, I got the hoodies, we got the women's style shirts, the paint color, whatever. We got a lot of assortment of different colors. And the link should be in the description area down by the comments. The online shopping store. They deliver worldwide, no matter where you are. So if you're not in America, you're in Africa, you're way out in Siberia or wherever, we got merch here at Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. So definitely, if you want to support the channel, you could buy merch or you can donate at our Venmo link that is also down there if you want to donate to help this channel grow. And I really appreciate everybody who's here today on this Saturday. Here in America, it's 1 p.m., Cincinnati, Ohio, USA. And we're just going to talk some boxing talk because, like I said, it's going down next weekend with um Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. On that card, Alicia Bumgarner will be fighting on that card. So I look forward to seeing what she's going to do next weekend. Um, she has a nice right hand. Alicia Bumgarner, I feel like she's the type of fighter who's going to get better and better as she develops and keeps growing. I think she gels well with down in Texas with trainer Derek James. I think they have a good chemistry going on. So as long as she keeps winning and looking better every fight, I think she'll be on point. And also, who just was newly signed with MVP, which is the what Jake Paul has going on, right? We have the sister of Daniel Dubois, Carolyn Dubois, who is now with MVP, and she was added to this fight card for next weekend. So we'll get to see Alicia Bumgardner and Carolyn Dubois fight on the same card. And hopefully, in the near future, we will get to see Carolyn Dubois versus Alicia the Bumgardner. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Alicia Bumgardner from Fremont, Ohio, up north. I always mix up Fremont with Mentor, Ohio, two small towns. I think Mentor is closer towards Cleveland, but then Fremont is more closer to like Sandusky, between Sandusky and Toledo. So shout outs to Alicia Baumgartner, who is her birthplace is here in Ohio. Shout outs to my guy Marcus up north. Um, Ohio runs boxing. Shout outs to him. Abdullah Mason, the champ who went over to Saudi Arabia and came back to Cleveland, Ohio, and did his thing. Shout outs to him. Shout outs to them for doing their thing. So since we're speaking about Ohio, let's talk about the bordering states of Michigan. Just north of Toledo, Ohio, 1 hour north, you have the city of Detroit, Michigan. Um, well, just outside of Detroit, you have Flint, Michigan, which is the hometown of Clarissa T Rex Shields. So shout outs to Clarissa Shields. I know sometimes on Twitter or just on different interviews, it seems like Clarissa can be all over the place or whatever. Um, but if you see her movie and you see her documentaries, you'll kind of have a more understanding of why her personality is the way it is. But speaking of her, she will be fighting in Detroit, Michigan, against Franchon Cruz Dezern. They will fight a rematch. Um, Clarissa already beat her, of course, because Clarissa is still undefeated. They will fight again in Detroit, Michigan. I personally feel like um, Clarissa's going to win this by a decision. I see her winning by decision. She's a very technical fighter, not necessarily known for her one power punch or combination of power punches, but more known for her footwork or for her finesse, things like that. So the two main opponents I want to see Clarissa fight, of course, she will fight DeZorn, Franchon Cruz next. But we all know that we want to see Clarissa Shields versus Shadeja Green. If you go on Twitter, you see a lot of back and forth with them going back and forth. Um, so that's definitely the fight that I'm more intrigued to want to see. Shadeja Green, she said Clarissa knows what's up, and that's just something we need to see, man. The build up for them, the fact that they were, friends, and then they kind of had a falling out. And Shadeja Green talks about that in an interview. Um, she also did an interview with Jab Queen Boxing. So that was another great interview to see with Shadeja Green. Um, hey, I'm up for it. I'm down for this. You know what I'm saying? I want to see them two getting on. I want to see Shadeja Green versus Clarissa Shields, but also another foe of Clarissa Shields is let me think of her name, is the fighter that dropped her, the 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 fighter who dropped Clarissa. Now Clarissa Shields 17 wins, 3 KOs, no losses, no draws. She has a 17% knockout ratio, which is obviously not really high, but like I said, she's definitely a very skilled fighter. Clarissa Shields is the age of 30 right now. So we'll talk a little bit about her resume as well. Um, but the person I had in mind was Hannah Gabriel. That's the one. That's the lady who dropped her, and that's the one that we wanted to see a rematch. But of course, a adverse findings happened with her, so it stopped that fight from happening. Um, that was supposed to be some contamination, I believe, in the dog food or something like that. That maybe she touched um, with Hannah Gabriel's. But let's talk a little bit about um, Clarissa for a quick moment. So back in 2016, she fought her debut fight against Franchon Cruz Dezern. Clarissa won by unanimous decision, and Franchon Cruz is the fighter she will be fighting in a rematch, which is kind of cool because you figure from that time of 2016 to now, almost 10 years later, um, Franchon Cruz has probably learned a lot from her loss, and hopefully we'll see a better rematch or a better version of Franchon in a rematch against Clarissa Shields. 2018, she fought Hannah Gabriels. That was the only person who ever dropped Clarissa Shields, and Clarissa won that by unanimous decision. Hannah Gabriels, 18 wins, one loss, one draw. Then in 2018, she fought Hannah Rankin, who was 5 wins, two losses, no draws. Clarissa won that by unanimous decision. 2019, Christina Hammer, who was 24 wins, no losses, no draws. Clarissa won that by unanimous decision. In 2022, Clarissa won by unanimous decision, victory over Savannah Marshall, who was um, 12 wins, no losses, no draws. Um, then she fought then the year after that against Corn Joe, who was 16-5-0. She won unanimous decision. Um, she stepped up and fought Daniel Perkins in 2025 and dropped her and ended up winning by unanimous decision. Danielle Perkins, 5 wins, no losses, no draws at the time, but she was handed her first loss by Clarissa Shields. And then Clarissa fought in 2025 Lonnie Daniels, who was 11, 2, and 2. Lonnie Daniels, she pretty much looked like she came there to try to survive. She was just moving around the ring, really wasn't punching very much at all. So that wasn't really a good fight, or even a good fight to base Clarissa Shields on. But she will be fighting um, in February 22nd. Um, that's when Clarissa will rematch Franchon Cruz Dezern, who is 10 wins, two losses, no draws. They will fight in Detroit, Michigan. So be looking forward to that, y'all. Um, and of course, Clarissa Shields is still with Salida, and she signed with them, so she's not with MVP or Jake Paul or whatever. Um, but I mean, hopefully Um, she'll fight Shadeja Green, who was with MVP under the umbrella over there, and hopefully she can fight Hannah Gabriels one more time, and you know that would be like the two biggest name opponents out there for Clarissa T Rex Shields. Oh, something I just seen pop up. It says Deontay Wilder reacts to Tyson Fury versus AJ on Seconds Out. This just popped up like 12 minutes ago. So since we're right here, we might as well play it, right? Let's see what Deontay Wilder has to say.
Sometimes they may see certain things when they're dealing in boxing. It's a hurt business. It's a business. You got to conduct yourself in a certain way. You gotta have motivation. And a lot of people, what they do, they get confidence mixed up with cocky. Being cocky. You must be confident in the business of a hurt business. Where you can get your hands over 1,500 guys in here. So why would I not be confident? And if you want to go, it's too confident. No, you have to be. And if not, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then I advise you. I invite you to come into the ring and you start training and you do some things and you get a glimpse of it yourself before you cast stones of judgment. Until then, you should wish all fighters well. You should pray for them that they have a safe trip inside the ring and leave the same way they entered. And that should be it. Give praises to these fighters, and a lot of things because at the end of the day, we're fighters, but we're also human beings. We still have family, we still go through things, we still have problems, we still, it's a lot of things. We fight, we get upset, it's a lot of things, man. We love and beat it, but it is what it is. I understand, and it takes real people, men and women, to come up and look at the situation and to lower their pride down and be like, dear, which is how I say I'm sorry. I thought something of you that, that I didn't know. You understand me? And they come and do it. It's a great feeling, you know what I mean? Because I understand I've been through a lot in my life, especially being a black man. I've been through a lot. So when it's like that, I'm mature enough to be like, you know what? I appreciate you. You touched my heart. We can start over. And when you get that handshake, you get that love with that hug. That's that signification of identity that we have squashed the beef for what was going on. And now from this day forward, we can go on and live with each other and coexist in this world with each other because we need each other and live in peace. And that's it. The end. John Tate, let's just what you think about the Fury and AJ fight. The Fury and AJ fight. What you think about it? It's gonna be a fun fight. Who will win in that fight at the moment of time? I really haven't really processed it yet. I've been having a lot of stuff going on with myself, but right now, as I look at it, it should be a fun fight. You know what I mean? When it happens. Would you be disappointed to have ended your career without fighting Anthony Joshua? One more question, bro. To be honest, I wouldn't be disappointed because I tried my damn hardest to make that fight happen. I even worked myself to flat feet when they was giving other guys that wasn't even the qualification of me percentages and stuff like that. They even once said that they don't care if they never fight me. And sometimes we just put things in existence and put things in the atmosphere, and then certain things manifest and stuff like that. So, but that was the past. This is now. Like I tell people, we're still heavyweights that's out there, still here. We're not retired. So I'm not looking past no one, and I want all the smoke from everyone. That's it. That's it. So with that being said, I want to dance. But he gotta want to dance with me. You want to dance with Fury for the fourth and final time? Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. You understand? That's all of them. Because I am going to be the two-time heavyweight champion in the world, undisputed, for sure. I gotta revive boxing. The heavyweight division is on the flat line now. When I was there, they had a lion's heart. But now, it's just like but there was the 10 man that didn't have a heart. And I gotta put it back together. I'm really, really, really able. So, please, baby.
What's there? So of course Deontay Wilder has been that was just him right there on seconds out. And salute to T Hill. See, salute, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate your consistency and showing me support, bro. For sure. So that was Wilder right there. And he's pretty much saying that hey, he's down to fight Tyson Fury in a fourth fight. When he was asked his opinion about AJ versus Fury, he said it'll be a good fight, but he hasn't really sat down and processed to think who would win that fight. Now, I've always said all along, I felt like AJ is going to beat Tyson Fury, and what I feel is that Tyson's normally fought guys that was headhunters, people that were always trying to knock him out to catch him on his chin. Well, Tyson shows that, yeah, he might go down, but he normally gets right back up, right? Nobody has ever consistently went to the body of Tyson Fury, and he has plenty of body to go to. I feel like Anthony Joshua's target will be the body of Tyson Fury. I think he will go to the unknown when it comes to Tyson Fury, to where others have kind of neglected going to the body. When it comes to heavyweights of today, majority of these guys are headhunters. You don't see a lot of guys going to the body. I think of the heavyweights that go to the body the most, it would probably have to be Ajit Kabiel, being that he's dropped Zilly Zhang with a body shot, and he's dropped Magmadov with body shots. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. You can't always go to the head. You have to realize that body shots a lot of times can be just as pivotal. It can be very much like if you look at Mike Tyson's old footage, a lot of times it was the body shots that set up the knockout punch. Sometimes it was the body shots that stopped uh, some of the opponents. You know what I'm saying? So you have to not just be a headhunter all the time. And I think that that will be the recipe for AJ when he steps in 2026 against Tyson Fury. I feel like he's going to go to the body of Tyson Fury as often as he can. I think it's going to wear down Tyson Fury, and over the course of the first half of the fight, should it go that far? Should it go that far? Excuse me. I feel like that he will knock out that AJ will eventually knock out Tyson Fury. It could be by an uppercut. It could be by a hook. It could be by a hook to the body. It could be a kind of a lot of different ways because AJ has more than one weapon, and when it comes to his basic fundamentals, he carries them out very well. You know, when it comes to basic fundamentals, a jab, a hook, a body hook, an uppercut, AJ does well with that. I think AJ's biggest issue is defensively. He's not really so much defensively sound. He's only thinking offense, but he's not thinking about punches coming back to him. And if you look at the Ruiz shot, he was caught at a time where his guard was down. You know what I'm saying? Um, or he was punching and somebody was able to punch with him and catch him and clip him. Um, I think if AJ can work on a couple of defensive tweaks, which I think he will be doing, because it's my understanding Anthony Joshua is working with the camp of Usyk. So if he's working with the camp of Usyk, they're definitely a defensive minded camp. They will help him on some of the deficits when it comes to his defensive um the things that he is lacking defensively. You know, once he tightens up his defense, AJ will be a more full total package. But I think it shouldn't be no issue next weekend when he fights Jake Paul. I think it should just be like a warm up fight, literally a warm up fight. He should be able to be like a hot knife through butter. You know what I'm saying? It should be no issue at all. So I want to know what y'all think. AJ versus Jake Paul next weekend. How does that play out? But I also want to know uh 2026. It looks very promising that we finally get to see Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. I want to know y'all opinions on that fight. Should it come to fruition? AJ versus Fury, your predictions. Um, Also, what are your predictions with Clarissa Shields rematch in Detroit, Michigan against Franchon Cruz Dezern in her rematch with Franchon Cruz? And also, are y'all looking forward to seeing Hannah Gabriel and Shadeja Green fight Clarissa Shields? Of course, Hannah Gabriel was the only opponent to ever drop Clarissa Shields. So that would be a good fight to see in the near future. Um, so let's talk a little bit about that. You know what I mean? Let me know what y'all think. I've been going live this Saturday. We are going on 80 minutes. So I've been on here about an hour and 20 minutes. I will probably be on here a little bit longer. So I just want to kick it with y'all for a second. So let me know what y'all think on those aspects there. And if you saw the Pulev fight that I talked about, and if you didn't see the Pulev fight, go look it up. Pulev was knocked out in round six by Murat Gassiev by a left hook, a clean left hook. And there's supposed to be some fights on today on the zone. So I'm gonna try to tap into those fights here shortly. So then tomorrow, when we do our normal 6 p.m. recap tomorrow, I can kind of go over the fights that are going down today because I know the time in the UK, uh, but those fights might be over here. I'm not sure if those fights were in California or if they were over in the UK, but I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out. That was supposed to be like the Pacheco fight um, today. Yes, Diego Pacheco. He's fighting. So he's fighting against Kevin. I believe you pronounce his name Sajo. Super middleweight main event. They're fighting in Stockton, California. The main card will be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The ring walks for them will be 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, this is not going to be even though it's the zone card, it will not be taking place in UK or Saudi Arabia. This will be here in America in California. Of course, California's time is different than Ohio time, where I'm at. We're a few hours. We're a few hours. They're a few hours before us in California. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is my time, that's when the ring walk will start for the main card. So tap in. It'll be something to watch today. Um, I don't know as much about those two fighters in particular in depth. Um, Mike Ware may know, maybe Cam J may. I did look up some highlights of both guys, and what from what I could see in the highlights of both guys, I saw that the more responsible puncher and the more accurate puncher looked like it would be Diego Pacheco. He looked like he had slightly better form, but they both look like they have power. So I could definitely see a knockout. I don't know who's gonna knock out who, but like I said, Pacheco definitely looks like he's a little bit more precise with his punches. Kevin Sajo looked like sometimes he can get a little wild with his punches. He can be a little bit wide with his punches. You know, they're not the real crispy punches or whatever. And when you get wide like that, a puncher like Pacheco, who can go straight down the middle or more accurate with his hook, he can probably stop Kevin. You know, most likely. Um, and he got that looks like he got a decent reach, so I'm pretty sure he'll use his jab a lot and fight long range and mid range. Now, if he fights in close range, I think that's going to only benefit Kevin. So I think Diego Pacheco will need to use his advantages. You know, if you're the taller guy, use your jab, use your range, um, and just pop that jab out. Soon as he gets in mid range, throw a hook or uppercut. You know, if he gets in real close. Um, it's gonna be a good style matchup. I'm gonna definitely be watching it tonight and do our breakdown tomorrow. Do our breakdown tomorrow, man. Um, let's see. think it was oh yeah, since we're talking about Deontay Wilder just a little bit, Usyk, there seems to be some very serious talks with Usyk versus Deontay Wilder. Wilder seems to be in a good place mentally, and he seems to think that he could stop Usyk. Um, Now that's a far stretch for some people. Um, Obviously, the more talented all around skill fighter is going to be Usyk. But what makes it good is you got a master elite southpaw boxer like Usyk fighting a knockout artist in Wilder. Now, I think the benefit I see with Wilder, although he's not the most technical fighter, is the fact that he's a small heavyweight. You know, Usyk was beating AJ, um, Dubois, AJ Dubois, Chisora, and Tyson Fury. Well, all these are big, big guys. Really, Wilder is a more slim, wiry guy, with that type of twitch muscle fibers, and he has a very quick release with his right hand. I think the fact that Wilder is really a small heavyweight, and technically so is Usyk, because he's a cruiserweight that moved up to heavyweight. Those guys are probably weigh about the same. They're probably weigh about 225, maybe 230 when they fight each other. I would say that Usyk will weigh about 225 roughly, and Wilder will weigh about 225 pounds. Well, I think that's going to benefit Wilder because he's not that big. He's not necessarily a slow guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas AJ can hit hard, but AJ's a little bit slower because he's so muscle mass. Whereas Wilder is more leaner. I think he may be able to set up that right hand. But that's my only issue with Wilder is you so predictable to where you have a puncher's chance, of course, but what can you do more to make it more complicated for Usyk to detect what you may do? They need to figure out some type of game plan and some type of trick, some type of trap to catch Usyk slipping. That's the only chance Wilder has. But if he's too predictable and loading up his right hand time after time, Usyk is going to pick him apart. But because Usyk is a left-handed southpaw fighter, Wilder can line up that right hand at certain times. He just has to be able to pull the trigger often enough, and and I mean I saw a little bit of footage with Wilder talking to Shannon Briggs, which at first I think they had kind of a rocky relationship, but then after a while, um, Shannon Briggs warmed up to Deontay Wilder and vice versa. Now they seem to be cordial. Well, I saw them on a video, and Shannon Briggs is kind of telling Wilder a few things. Do some film study, how he goes back and watches Larry Holmes fights. Um, Shannon Briggs said he might go back and watch some Mike Tyson fights. He goes back and watch a lot of older fighters fights, and he told Wilder that's something that he may want to do. You know what I'm saying? Go watch some of these older fights of these other guys and things like that. And then you may learn some things from them. You know what I mean? You might learn some things on what they did when they fought certain style fighters. You know what I'm saying? But to me, there's really nobody who really fought exactly like Usyk. There was really nobody who fought that style back in the day. I mean, the closest style to Usyk in today's boxing was a smaller version when you had Lomachenko. But I feel like Usyk's better than Lomachenko personally. Although Loma's, he's a good fighter, I feel like Usyk is even better than Loma. Um, so yeah, man, Wilder. I mean, he always has a puncher's chance, but it's a tall order to say that he would land that right hand and stop Usyk. But hey, it's boxing and it's heavyweight boxing for sure. And anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. I do edge Usyk to win, and I feel like Usyk may come with the approach that he used against Daniel Dubois. He's not going to sit back and be patient and like start to ease into the fight and pick up the pace like he normally does. I think he's going to go and turn up the notch a little early in the fight. If he fights Wilder, I think he's going to try to stop Wilder within the first half of the fight because he knows every round you step in there with Wilder, you're in danger. Any second the Wilder can land that right hand, you're in danger. So what he would want to do is try to stop the threat before the threat even has a chance to land that right hand. That would be in the best interest of Usyk is to try to disarm Wilder early in the fight and get an early stoppage. So let me know what y'all think. Wilder versus Usyk. How would that lay? How would that play out? So we're gonna go live here a few more minutes, and I appreciate everybody who's came through here at Ringwalk Boxing Podcast. Um, I really do appreciate everybody here um, that's rocking with the movement. Um, and I'm gonna just try to keep stuff going. Um, I also saw the face off. Speaking of Wilder, I saw the face off with Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder. And I know for the longest you've heard about Derek Chisora and him wanting a 50th fight. He's won his last fight to be fight 50 before he retires. And you saw him kind of face off with Deontay Wilder. But is that a fight that's actually going to happen? Because my thing would be this: Wilder, why not stay active, fight Derek Chisora in a few months from now in 2026, and then at the end of 2026, go ahead and fight Usyk, unless Usyk and them already have plans to lock in Wilder, and then he fights Wilder, and then Wilder fights Usyk, and then Wilder fights Derek Chisora, in reverse. Like either way, whether you fight Usyk first, you might go Usyk, Del Boy, or go Del Boy Usyk. You know what I'm saying? Either way, that's two fights lined up for Wilder already that he can make happen. Um, Yeah, and also, if I didn't mention it, which I probably did, but I have to mention it again. I won't be on my Facebook as much. I appreciate all of my Facebook friends. I'll still be on there here and there, but I need for y'all to please I need for y'all to please go to follow my Twitter page. If you have Twitter, I'm on there talking I'm sharing all of my YouTube stuff on Twitter and pretty much on TikTok. I won't be on Facebook as much. Now, here's the thing: I know my UK guys are like 5 hours ahead of me. So when I go live on Sunday, I get it. It's like 11 p.m. y'all way. It's almost midnight, and a lot of people are sleeping over in the UK. Well, what I'm gonna start doing now is I'm gonna try to start doing Saturdays like today, earlier in the day, so that way over in UK it'll be like 5 or 6 p.m. your time, and y'all can still check me out. That way, I'm kind of giving more of a fair time on Saturdays for my UK friends or my friends that are a few hours ahead of us over here in America. I appreciate you, mate. Thanks, Neil, for coming through, man. Thanks very much. I appreciate you, mate. Um, yes, for sure, Nate. For sure, man. I'll shout out your guy. I know your team Crawford over there in UK, Neil. Neil Batterby. I appreciate you, mate, for sure. Um, I was just here talking. Now that you're here, I was just here talking about Deontay Wilder versus Del Boy. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But also, there's going to be talks of Deontay Wilder versus Usyk. Of course, we know Deontay Wilder does the one thing he does very well, but I think Usyk is far too much of a mastermind to allow Wilder to land the right hand. I think Wilder needs to learn how to land the left hand and how to land the body shots. You know what I'm saying? If he does a little bit more and has a little bit more in his arsenal, he has a better chance against somebody like Usyk. But if he's going in there with just a game plan to land his right hand, I think it's going to be all bad for Wilder. I think it's going to be slow. What do you think, Neil? Let me know, mate. Also, I was talking about the knockout fight. Did you see Pulev versus Gassiev? Gassiev stopped Pulev in round six yesterday. And pretty much Pulev was doing his basic fundamental, the 1-2, 1-2 punch, the left right, and keeping Gassiev at bay. But eventually, Gassiev was starting to slowly pick up his pace, and you could see the writing on the wall that he was trying to find range and trying to sneak in that punch, that money punch. And eventually, in round six, he landed a devastating left hook that sent Pulev crashing to the canvas. Now we have to bear in mind, like I said before, Pulev is age 44. Your golden years are past you right now. I don't think, and I don't really see any reason for him to take punishment at the age of 44 right now. Especially when it's not for some type of title. You're not going to get no title shot. So Pulev is best for him to just to bow out gracefully. You know, he's fought a couple of big names. You come up short against Klitschko. You come up short against AJ. I want to say Chisora had beat him. There's no need for him to keep taking that type of punishment, man. Neil, you said I totally agree. I got Usyk winning by stoppage. Then next, Tyson. The next year, Fury stops Anthony Joshua. I'm so happy to have you here, man. I know you're a Tyson Fury fan for sure. I kind of went over the resume of Anthony Joshua earlier, but since you're here, Neil, and you are my guy. Shout outs to you over there in the UK. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick review over Tyson Fury real quick. Um, so let's go into the well, just before we talk about Tyson Fury though, right before we go to his resume, let's talk about Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter had won a fight not too long ago. I'm not too privy on the opponent he just beat, but Michael Hunter is that type of guy. He's a good fighter, man. I think he's like a dark horse in the heavyweight division. He just never gets the big shots, man. The big title shots or the big names. But Michael Hunter is just like always there, and unfortunately, he's getting up in age. I want to say Michael Hunter might be like age 38 right now. I just hate to see a talent like him not get those big opportunities. And Tony Bellew speaks highly of Michael Bounty Hunter. Um, he pretty much says that he calls him like a boogeyman of the heavyweight division. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened with the career of Michael Hunter, but he's just one of them guys that never seems to get that level of notoriety that I think he really deserves. Um, but hey, I heard he was willing to fight Frank Sanchez. Initially, I think Dubois was supposed to fight the Cuban Flash, Frank Sanchez. And then I think it was somebody else they brought up. It might have been the top ranked fighter, the guy that they want to fight. They wanted to fight Moses Atuma. Um, what's his name? the top ranked fighter. Um, See, my mind when I think boxing, sometimes I be thinking like all over the place. Sometimes, um, it's a top ranked fighter that they wanted to see Moses and Tuma fight, and for some reason I can't think of his name. Um, I think he was I don't know if he was Puerto Rican or had a name. Let me see. Let me see if we can find this out. Who was the fighter that called out Moses and Tuma? Richard Torres. Richard Torres Jr. I thought he was supposed to maybe step in if Daniel Dubois didn't fight Frank Sanchez. I thought Richard Torres Jr. was going to fight him. Well, now I'm seeing that Michael Hunter is saying that he'll fight. Um, he's willing to face Frank Sanchez, and that would be a good match. You got Michael Hunter, who came up from cruiserweight as a heavyweight, and Michael Hunter back in the day, he gave a very, very good account of himself when he fought Usyk. You know, um, that was a great fight back in the day when they fought him and Usyk. Michael Hunter also gave Povetkin a tough fight when he fought him to a draw. Michael Hunter, yeah, him him versus Frank Sanchez. I hope they can make that happen, man. Um, I also saw something where I think it was the WBC saying that that it won't be a fight with initially they were trying to have a fight with Joshua Buatsi versus Ben Whitaker. Well, I think that fight is not going to happen now for whatever reason. So now Ben Whitaker, what is being said is that Ben Whitaker may be fighting an American opponent. They haven't said a name yet, but that's what was in small print when I read it on social media. Ja Pataya came off his win not too long ago. There is rumors, I'm not sure yet, but there's being rumored that Ja Apataya next opponent may be Badu Jack. So we'll just keep looking forward to see. Hit the thumbs up, please. We'll look forward to see what's going on in that regard. Um, Now you know I have to disagree that Fury stops AJ. You know I got AJ knocking out Tyson Fury, and it may be by a body shot from AJ. But let's talk about the resume real quick of Tyson Fury. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's do the breakdown of. We talked about AJ earlier in this segment. We talked about Jake Paul's resume. Let's talk about Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. Cause I know that's your guy. You, Paul, and Jamie. Shout out to them guys over in UK as well. All right, so Tyson Fury, y'all, has a 70% knockout ratio. Of course, he's a heavyweight. He claims to be 6'9". He's age 37. His nickname is the Gypsy King. Birthplace Manchester, UK. Um, all right, so let's go back to the beginnings of Tyson Fury. Back in 2008, Tyson Fury fought Bella Giono. I can't pronounce the last name, but I think it's Gion Gion Yoshi. And this guy was 3 wins, 9 losses, and 2 draws. Tyson won by TKO. That's in 08, 2008. We'll move up to the more known opponent that I'm somewhat familiar with. Tyson Fury fought John McDermott in 2009. In 09, Fury fights John McDermott, who was 25 wins, 5 losses, no draws. And he wins points decision. Then in 2010, he fights the rematch with John McDermott, who was 25-6-0. And Tyson wins by TKO. Now, we know one of those fights was controversial. I want to say it was the first fight in 2009 that John McDermott actually won, but they gave Tyson Fury the fight. It can be argued that that Fury lost that fight. But hey, it is what it is. Tyson was given the win, so at that time he remained undefeated. 2011, he fights Del Boy, Derek Chisora. 14 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws. Tyson wins by unanimous decision. 2011, that same year, he fights Nevin Pajovic, who was at 16 wins, no losses, and no draws. Tyson won by TKO. I want to say Nevin Pajovic was the first person to drop Tyson Fury. Um, he fought he fought a mutual opponent of Anthony Joshua's, Kevin Johnson, in 2012. Kevin Johnson at the time was 28 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. Tyson won by unanimous decision. Then came 2013 when he fought Steve Cunningham, the former cruiserweight who was a smaller guy. Um, in 2013, he was 25 wins, 5 losses, and no draws. Steve Cunningham, according to Fury, was a more challenging opponent and harder fight than Deontay Wilder, according to Tyson Fury. He didn't have the power of Deontay Wilder, but Steve Cunningham had footwork, he had speed, being that he was a smaller guy. And he was a step ahead of Tyson Fury majority of this fight. He was pretty much winning on the rounds. In the early rounds, he was winning. And then Tyson Fury used his physicality and his size later in that fight and was able to stop Steve Cunningham. Um, 2014, Tyson Fury fights Derek Chisora in a rematch. Um, Derek Chisora at the time was 20 wins, 4 losses, and no draws. 2015, Tyson Fury defeats Christian Hammer, who was 17-3-0. And then he fights the legend, who also was an opponent of Anthony Joshua roughly like 20 months later. 20 months prior to fighting AJ, Fury fights Vladimir Klitschko in 2015. Vladimir was 64 wins, 3 losses, and no draws. Um, and Tyson won by unanimous decision, in which a lot of people say that was one of the most boring fights. Now, it was also important to point out Vladimir Klitschko had 53 knockouts out of his 64 wins. That's a 82% knockout ratio. So he's has a fairly high knockout ratio. And Fury fought him as he should have. He was boxing and moving because Vlad Klitschko definitely had the type of knockout power and knockout percentage to where he could have knocked out Fury if he landed, but Fury kind of was being smart and boxing and moving. He didn't fight him in the pocket a lot. He just kind of like was slipping and using his back foot style that we know Tyson Fury to do. Um, 3 years after that, which I want to say that big period from 2015 with Vlad and him not coming back to 2018 was the period that he had the drug issues and things like that, and gained all that weight and stuff like that. Well, Fury came back on the scene in 2018 and fought Safiri, who was 23-1-0. Tyson uh, won beating him, and then he fought in that same year Francisco Pianeta, and then in 2018, the end of 2018, in December, he fought Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. At the time, Wilder was 40 wins, no losses, and no draws at the time. And Deontay was the WBC heavyweight. Now, to be fair, although Wilder had 40 wins and no losses, let's look at those opponents that Wilder fought. Wilder has a 97% knockout ratio. All right. Wilder back in '08 fought Ethan Cox. 2 wins, 2 losses, and one draw. Now, I got to be fair in regards to Wilder. I like to give him the same respect I gave Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua started boxing late, age 18. Wilder started boxing late at like age 21. So these are two guys who started late in the sport of boxing. Now, the reason for Wilder was his daughter had spinal bifida, so he fought as a means of being able to take care of her medical bills and stuff like that. So I do salute, although I might have said I wasn't a Wilder fan in the past, I have to have nothing but respect for his reasoning on becoming a boxer because he did it for the love of his daughter and to make sure she had to find he had the financial means to take care of her and her medical needs. Um, so yeah, Wilder fought Ethan Cox and won by TKO in 2008. Now, his next opponent that a lot of people talked about was Harold Sconiers. This was a few years later. He fought Harold Sconiers in 2010, who was 17 wins, 20 losses, and 2 draws. Wilder won by TKO. Um, the next known opponent he fought was a few years later in 2012. Wilder won by KO Kelvin Price. Wilder knocked him out. Kelvin Price record was 13-0-0. Then in 2013, Wilder fought Audley Harrison, who was 31 wins, 6 losses, and 0 draws. Wilder won that by TKO stoppage. Now, in 2014, Wilder fought Malik Scott, who was said to be his brother and who also became a trainer of Wilder for a short period of time. In 2014, there was a controversial fight with Malik Scott because some people claim that Malik Scott took a dive because he was a good friend of Wilder, but that's always been a speculated situation. Malik Scott was 36 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. In that same year, he fought a common opponent of Anthony Joshua, Jason Gavrin. Um, Wilder beat him, and Jason Gavrin at the time was 25 wins, 16 losses, and 4 draws. Then another name that people I think um, boost him up as a champ, but to me, he was like similar to a level of Charles Martin. Wilder in 2015 fought Bermane Stiverne, who was 24 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. That first fight, Wilder won by unanimous decision. And you actually seen Wilder somewhat box in that fight. He actually was boxing in that fight. Um, the year after that, he fought another common opponent of Anthony Joshua, Eric Molina. And that's the fight that I said earlier in this segment that Molina buckled Wilder, and Wilder took about roughly 8 or 9 rounds to finish him. But eventually, he stopped Eric Molina. He fought then in 2015 Johan Duhaupas, who was 32 2-0. Wilder won by uh, TKO. In his next fight in 2016, he knocked out Arthur Spilka, who was 20 wins, one loss, and zero draws. His next known name opponent uh, was Chris Arreola, 36 wins, four losses, and one draw. In 2016, Wilder defeated him. And then he fought in 2017, the next year after that, he fought Gerald Washington, 18 wins, no losses, and one draw. Wilder stopped him TKO. 2017, the rematch, Romain Stavern. This time, Wilder did make a statement and he knocked him out something vicious. If you go back on YouTube, it's definitely there. This is the rematch in 2017. Wilder versus Bermain Stavern, who was 25 2-1 at the time. 2018, the following year, he fights King Kong, Luis Ortiz, who was 28 0-0. Um, he wins by TKO. And that's the fight that you saw a little bit of adversity for Wilder because Luis Ortiz did buckle him and had him going in that fight. And had Wilder buzzed and had him on Bambi legs. 2018, Wilder fights Tyson Fury. This is their first meeting. And it ended up being a draw. At the time, Tyson Fury was 27 0-0. Wilder fought Dominic Brazil, who was 21-0 in 2019. He wins by a knockout, and then he rematched Luis Ortiz, in which he lost every round up until the point of knocking out Luis Ortiz, I believe in round 7. Luis Ortiz was 31 wins and only one loss. That was by Wilder in the first fight, and Wilder did stop him when he landed his right hand in round 7. And then he fought Tyson Fury back to back, 2020 and 2021. Um, Wilder lost by TKO and then by knockout in the third fight. So the latest fight of Wilder was Tyrell Herndon. And to me personally, Wilder did not look that good. He didn't look that sharp in that fight, but he did win eventually TKO in 2025, um, which was a few months ago. All right, so we're at the point now where we have, let me see, get back over here to Tyson Fury. Um, so like I said, 2018, Fury fought Deontay Wilder. Then he went into the WWE and all this other extracurricular stuff. He came back and he fought Tom Schwartz in 2019. So bear in mind, there was no immediate rematch that happened with Deontay Wilder. He went and fought Tom Schwartz after his draw with Deontay Wilder in 2019. A few months after that, the same year, he fought Otto Wallen. Um, Otto Wallen was 20 wins, no losses, no draws. And then he finally rematched Wilder in 2020 and won by TKO in the second fight. That was a one-sided fight. At the time, Wilder was 42 wins, no losses, and the one draw he had from Tyson Fury, and he was stopped for the first time in 2020 and handed his first loss by Tyson Fury. Then the following year, 2021, right in between that time, just before the third fight, of course, like I said before, Fury was trying to pull out of the Wilder trilogy fight, the third fight, um, and Wilder had to take him into arbitration. And a few months after that, the fight ended up happening, and Wilder was knocked out in the third fight. Then Tyson Fury fought Dillian White, uh, TKO knockout in 2022, and then he fought the unneeded trilogy with Derek Chisora in 2022. Derek Chisora at this time was 33 wins, 12 losses, and Tyson stopped him. And then, of course, Tyson fought um, Francis Ngannou in 2023, and he struggled with Ngannou. Ngannou dropped Tyson Fury, and it's argued that Francis Ngannou edged the win in that fight. But I think it was too much at stake that Fury was supposed to be fighting Usyk, so they were not going to give him a loss from a debutante like Francis Ngannou. 2024, Alexander Usyk hands Tyson Fury his first loss. They rematch again in 2024, and Usyk wins by unanimous decision. In the first fight, Usyk won by split decision. So I feel like in the second fight, um, it was definitely a wider margin for Usyk, and he definitely won the fight more convincingly in the rematch than he did in the first fight. So that's where we're at when it comes to Tyson Fury and his resume, a little bit of Wilder's background resume, um, and a little bit of AJ earlier in the resume to kind of put a little context to everything. Um, so that's what we have. That's what we have. Um, I see you got jokes, Neil. You said Jake by stoppage, like Jake is going to stop Anthony Joshua. I hear you, man. You think he might hit a home run or a hail mary? All right, y'all. So excuse me. I appreciate everybody who came through here today. Um, just watch out for the zone fights tonight. Like I said tonight, Diego Pacheco fight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA time. So I'm pretty sure in the UK, 8 o'clock here would be like 1 o'clock in the morning over there. But it might be a fight you might have to play it back if you're in the UK because a lot of the guys over there are going to be asleep at 1 o'clock in the morning. Um, but like I said, if you want to support the channel, Neil, I got the link down there in the description area. We have a donation area, but we also have where you can buy merch. Like we have hats, we have hoodies, and different stuff like that. The Ringwalk Boxing Podcast merch. We got different color hats. I personally have the blue and the gray and black hat. Um, but we have all kind of colors, man, all kind of colors. Pretty soon I'll be getting me a hoodie so you can so you can see the design how it looks on a hoodie. It looks really really nice. Special, especially certain colors really make the design pop out. But yeah, it's gonna be some good boxing, and like I said, tomorrow we'll be here Eastern Standard Time, USA at 6 p.m. Like I said, follow me on my Twitter. I have a link tree that should be in the description area here. Um, Also, I have a link tree on my Facebook page. So if you go on my FB and you follow me there, go to my profile and hit the link tree, and go to Twitter and follow me, please. I would like to get everybody who's actually rocking with me and showing me your support to follow me on Twitter, and you can follow my TikTok as well. So um, if you can't for some reason find my link tree on Facebook, if we talked before or whatever, just ask me in Messenger. Hit me on Messenger. I can send you my Twitter link, and you can follow me on there. Um, so I will see y'all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll recap the fights from tonight's card later on tomorrow. So, Sweet Jones, what's going on? Salute, 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 salute. Stop for I appreciate you stopping through, man. I've been on this live today longer than normal. I've been on here like 2 hours. Uh, I've been on here since 12 o'clock, and right now it's like 2:14. So I've been on here about 2 hours and 14 minutes. It's been a long live stream today. Um, hey, Cuzzo, man, I appreciate you following through, Cuzzo. Not too much, man. Just maintaining, just maintaining, Cuzzo. There's gonna be there's gonna be some fights on. Oh, okay, Sweet Jones, you just getting off. What I'll do is there's gonna be some fights on tonight. They usually show the prelims on for free. The prelims will be on YouTube. I'm gonna send you a link when I get a chance on I'll try to send it to your IG or whatever. But if you go on YouTube, um, it'll definitely. Matter of fact, I might be to share it right down here in this chat real quick. Hold on, let me see if I can do that, so y'all can tap into the card for later tonight. All right, so that link right there in the chat. If you go to that link, that's going to be for the prelims on YouTube. They probably come on around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. or something. But if you tap that link and hit notification or notify me, it'll notify you when the fights are coming on. As far as the prelims, and then at like 8 o'clock tonight, they'll be showing the main card, and then the main event. Main event will be around 11 p.m. tonight. So yeah, man, if you want some boxing to watch, it's going down on the zone, y'all. So tap in, tap in, tap in. Oh, do me a big favor too. Hit that thumbs up, Cuzzo. Sweet Jones, please hit the thumbs up on the YouTube for me. Help me with my algorithm. Also, Cuzzo, if you look at my and I can always send you a link, text you a link later on. But I have for people to help out my channel or whatever, I have a donation area, and I also have a the clothing line. I got the clothing line. You know what I'm saying? Like the hats like this, the ring walk shirts, and they'll deliver it anywhere, man. They'll deliver it to your doorstep. You know what I'm saying? So I can send you the clothing line too. Oh, you're welcome, Cuzzo. Nothing but love, man. I appreciate the support. Like I said, I've been on this live a little over 2 hours, so I'll be back on here tomorrow. And I appreciate everybody for pulling up at Ringwalk Boxing Podcast. Like I say, always big shout outs. Zone 15 for sure. Um, the fam out there, the city of Cincinnati, much love. Ohio, stand up. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of good boxing talent here in Ohio. Um, okay, I'll send that link to you for sure, cuzzo. And like I said, big shout outs to Abdullah Mason up in Cleveland, or any boxers, legend boxers. Shout out to little cuzzo P3 Dyson. P30 Dyson was good, y'all. Big shout outs to him doing his thing, his career at the age of 9 years old. Little P3 is nice for sure. Little cuz is nice, man. So we're hoping in the future to get an interview with P30 and P3 on here. Also, I've been reaching out to a few other boxers, former boxers from here in Cincinnati, and from other places outside of Cincinnati. I've been trying to get some different boxers to come on the platform and do some interviews here at Ring Walk Boxing Podcast, y'all. So be looking out, man. We're gonna have some things brewing pretty soon on Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. Just stay in tune. Cuzzo, you said yes, sir. P3 and Santana. Absolutely, Cuzzo. Absolutely. Um, and what I'll do is also I'm gonna go ahead and put my link down here too. I'm gonna also put my link here and in the comments for the clothing, but I can also personally text it to you as well. But I want to put it here for everybody else on the show. I'll put my clothing link on here real quick for y'all, real fast before we close out here on this session, man. So it ended up being a good session, man. I appreciate everybody who pulled up, man, to show your support, man. It's really really big, man. I appreciate it, man, for sure. I really do. Um, let's see. All right, y'all. So y'all have a safe Saturday, and I will see y'all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. As always, like I said, y'all be safe, and I'll catch y'all on the next round. Peace.